Well, now that I've done talking about the start of the Harry Potter franchise, it's now time to talk about what is, of course, the first of the sequels. Definitely a very great way to do a sequel, so it is now time to talk about it. So without further ado, Accio Darth Vader.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here, so it is time for another review in my Harry Potter movie review series, and today, guys, I'm going to be reviewing what is, of course, the second installment of a franchise, which, of course, is based on the 1998 book of the same name by J.K. Rowling, and this is, of course, none other than 2002's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, directed once again by Chris Columbus. So, and today, guys, I am not alone, because joining me to review this is once again my very good friend X-Play, so he's going to share his thoughts on the film first. So, yeah, without further ado, take it away, X-Play.
Hello there, my name is Blaze, and sorry if I sound a little bit weird. On Twitter, I said was something like a speaking issue. But anyway, let's get into the review. So, Chamber of Secrets, awesome movie, interesting CGI and story. The worst part is, it drags way too much on. And yeah, that can be an issue for some people, but not really for me. I really like this movie. So sorry, and I'm having issues with leaking, and thank you for letting me be here, Luke, and continue with your review.
Okay, so it's my turn to review this movie. So, now, when it comes to what I think of a Chamber of Secrets, guys, in my opinion, it's an example of a sequel which definitely does everything right with what a sequel should be, in my opinion, and it's a movie I've definitely grown to appreciate a lot over time, because the Harry Potter franchise, in my opinion, is a timeless, amazing franchise, and I definitely love Harry Potter. And this film is definitely no exception in the franchise, and I do love the book as well by J.K. Rowling, and this film does a really good job adapting it to a big screen. So how was this movie made? So only 3 days after the release of the first movie, principal photography for this sequel began in November 2001, and filming then concluded in July 2002, and the film had a budget of $100 million. The film premiered in London on the 3rd of November 2002, and was then theatrically released in the UK and the United States on November 15, 2002. The film was a critical and commercial success, which grossed $879 million worldwide, and it became the second highest grossing movie of the year, behind The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It was praised for its darker plot, sets, and a story appropriate for young audience. This film is also unique because it has the longest runtime in the film series, because it has a runtime of 161 minutes. So yeah, wow, that's 19 minutes short of being 3 hours, goodness me. The film was also nominated for many awards, including the BAFTA Award for Best Production Design, Best Sound, and Best Special Visual Effects. So, when it comes to my initial reaction, guys, so I, of course, watched this film for the first time when I was a kid, and I gotta say that I definitely really loved it. And yeah, I also rewatched it last night, preparation for this review, and it made me love the movie a lot more. So, what's great about it is that it once again has a really great cast of actors. So, when it comes to the main trio, Daniel Radcliffe once again does an amazing job playing the title character Harry Potter. And I gotta say that considering he was 13 the year this film was released, he definitely was a very good actor for his age, in my opinion. Because yeah, his performance in this film for a 13-year-old was definitely really good, in my opinion. Did a really great job playing Harry. And once again, Rupert Grint was also amazing as Ron Weasley, a perfect casting right there as well, and definitely really amazing best friend to Harry right there, thanks to Rupert bringing him to life, absolutely. And yeah, Ron is definitely a very likeable character, and also pretty funny, especially because of his characterism, which of course is bloody hell. And I also definitely love, once again, Emma Watson as Hermione Granger. Once again, a perfect casting for a role, and I can't imagine any actor playing these characters better than who I just talked about. No way. Also returning from the first movie is once again Robbie Coltrane as Rubeus Hagrid, the Hogwarts gamekeeper. And yeah, I'm still, of course, really sad about the death of Robbie earlier this year in October. So yeah, rest in peace, Robbie. Yeah. And in this film, he still got as Hagrid, perfectly cast as Hagrid, in my opinion. Handpicked by J.K. Rowling for a role, and this film definitely does show that he was perfectly cast for a role. And apparently Robbie did turn down another project to come back for his sequel, and I'm really glad that he did, yeah. Because I don't think this film could be as good as it was without Robbie Coltrane, in my opinion. Also returning is also many other Hogwarts staff members. Richard Harris came back as Albus Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts, and this was sadly his final film which he was in, because he unfortunately died shortly before the film was released on October 25th of 2002, so rest in peace, Richard. And this proved to be his final live-action movie, rest in peace. And in this film, though, he still gave a really amazing performance, and yeah, definitely showed he was a perfect casting for the role of Dumbledore. And yeah, rest in peace, Richard. I also love the return of Dame Maggie Smith as Professor Minerva McGonagall once again. She was definitely once again a great part in the story. I like how she had the role of telling the pupils in her class what of course, the Chamber of Secrets is. So I did like her role in this, and I also once again loved Alan Rickman, may he also rest in peace, as Severus Snape as well, the potions teacher at Hogwarts. And my favourite character in the franchise was once again definitely a great part of this movie. And I love how, you can tell he's concerned for Harry and Ron when they come to Hogwarts, because they were seen by muggles flying the flying Ford Anglia car. So yeah, he was definitely, showing concern, but in a way where he was angry with them though. And yeah, definitely once again a great character, guys, and my love of Snape would continue to grow much more in the next movies as a character, especially, of course, in the last film of the series. And also returning as well is Warwick Davis as Professor Flitwick as well in this movie. Once again, definitely another great part as well. And yeah, Warwick Davis was definitely one of the best parts of his films, in my opinion, as his characters he's played, ranging from people like Professor Flitwick and also the goblins at Gringotts Bank as well. And I also as well liked as well, the Dursleys also do return in this film as well, and sadly they are still the unlikable characters that they are. There's no denying they're unlikable, but they are thankfully, favourable to the book that they're based on, how being unlikable. And the actors who play them still do a great job bringing them to life. Like, for example, Richard Griffiths, may rest in peace, as Uncle Vernon once again. And also Fiona Shaw as Aunt Petunia. And also as well, of course, Harry Melling as Dudley. And if you guys don't like him, you'll also be happy to know they only appear in like the first 10 minutes of the film, and that's it, you don't see him again, thankfully. So yeah. And also returning as well from the first film is also Bonnie Wright as Ginny Weasley, and I like how this film gave her a much bigger role compared to the first movie, where she only appears for a cameo appearance. In this film, because she's now a pupil at Hogwarts, she now has a big part in the story. So, and I like, of course, as well how the twist where it's revealed that she's involved in the whole crisis that's happening at Hogwarts, involving, of course, the Chamber of Secrets. When it comes to, as well to other returning characters, I also really liked Julie Walters returning as Molly Weasley, who is Ron and Ginny and Fred and George's and Percy's mother, coming back in this. And yeah, she had a slightly bigger role too as well compared to the first movie as well, which is definitely nice to see. And she played her part really well as always. My favourite role, Julie Walters. When it comes as well to new characters in this film, I like the addition of Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart, who is of course the celebrity author who becomes the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher at Hogwarts, and of course he's later revealed to be a fraud because as Harry it later finds out, he only takes credit for all that wizards have done. So yeah, there is no denying that Lockhart is unlikable because of this, how he's a fraud, but Kenneth Branagh does do an amazing job, bringing Lockhart to life, absolutely. He brings the character's arrogance and wimpiness to life really well, in my opinion. And he's also as well a very good filmmaker too, because I definitely love his movie, Thor in the MCU. Definitely a very good movie, in my opinion. And yeah, he played Lockhart really well, in my opinion. I did also like him for his collaboration with Christopher Nolan as well in things like Dunkirk and Tenet. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you in Oppenheimer as well next year as well. That'll be definitely fun to check out. I also as well definitely love the addition of Jason Isaacs as Lucius Malfoy, who is of course Draco Malfoy's father. And Tom Felton was also great as Draco once again, guys. And he plays him as the villainous, arrogant character that he was before very well. And Jason Isaacs was definitely a great casting for Lucius, in my opinion. It's probably my favourite live-action role of Jason Isaacs. And he played his part so well. And apparently he studied Tom Felton's performance in the first movie so he could capture how Draco's father could be in the next movie. So yeah, and which is definitely really cool. And he's also as well, shall I say, the secret villain of his film, guys, because he's the one behind the whole attacks happening at Hogwarts due to, of course, putting the diary of Tom Riddle into Ginny Weasley's cauldron, and she would, of course, later read it and then become brainwashed by the manifestation of Tom Riddle inside the diary. Because, as we would find out later in the series, the book is revealed to be a Horcrux for, of course, Lord Voldemort. Which is definitely an example of really excellent writing right there. You know, as a way to, like, set up this whole franchise without shoving it down our throats, really, which is definitely really good. I also love the addition of Mark Williams as, of course, Arthur Weasley, who is, of course, you know, Ron, Fred, George, Percy, and Ginny's father as well. He was definitely a really likeable character, in my opinion. I really liked him. My favourite role of Mark Williams, absolutely. And also, as well, when it comes to Tom Riddle himself, he's, of course, played by Christian Coulson in this film, guys. And I think Christian played him really well, in my opinion. Especially, of course, in the final act of the movie. Really did. And he definitely played his evil side really well, of course. And also his side where he was a Hogwarts pupil, of course. And yeah, what's great about this film, guys, what I do love, is how it adds character, a background to Voldemort. We get to know a lot more about him, where he was, of course, once a student of Hogwarts 50 years before Harry was a student. He was responsible for Hagrid being expelled. He's also the heir of Salazar Slytherin. And also, of course, his name was Tom Marvolo Riddle, which, of course, is an anagram of I am Lord Voldemort, which is definitely a very cool plot twist right there. So, now aside as well from that as well, I also love the return of John Cleese as Nearly Headless Nick as well. Definitely a very nice addition once again. It's a shame that Nearly Headless Nick didn't really appear much in the next ones after this, really. I wish he returned, but sadly he didn't really. Would have been cool to see him again, though, but it was nice to see him come back in this sequel, nonetheless. And also as well, now aside from the cast, guys, there's also great things too in this. So the story, in my opinion, is really good. And as I talked about in the reception this film got when it came out, I love how this film had a much darker take on the franchise, because it is definitely notably darker than the first movie, in my opinion, on many levels. For example, when the attacks begin, it definitely has a very scary start, because Harry hears, of course, the voice of a basilisk talking through the pipes of Hogwarts. As a fun fact, guys, the basilisk is voiced by Jason Isaacs, which is pretty awesome. I had no idea that was him until I looked it up, but he did the voice of a basilisk, which is pretty cool. In addition as well, after, of course, he hears a voice, we then see, of course, the message in blood on the wall, saying that the chamber's been reopened, enemies of the air beware. Oh, man. And also as well, of course, the victims who are also petrified by the basilisk. Now, they, of course, aren't killed by it, because you have to look directly in its eyes to be petrified, but the victims instead had to look at, like, something to you know, obscure their vision, like a mirror, for example. So, for example, Hermione, of course, unfortunately gets petrified, you know, at the start of the third act of the movie, but she was, of course, holding, like, a mirror or something, I think, to, so she was thankfully, you know, not killed. Harry's fan called Colin Creevy, a new character, he also gets petrified while he's taking a picture of the attack, but the camera must have obscured the attack, of course, and Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris, also as well got petrified because she saw Basilisk's reflection in the water on the floor. And also as well, the pupil called Justin, who of course goes against Harry because he thinks Harry was setting the snake on him by speaking parcel tongue. He of course got petrified because he looked for Nearly Headless Nick as well. And now when it comes as well to other good things, the film also definitely gave some development to Harry as well, because it's revealed, of course, that Harry is a parcel mouth, meaning he can talk to snakes. Which is definitely a very nice development for him, and it also as well helps foreshadow what is to come later, where of course it's revealed that he himself is a Horcrux, basically, which is definitely a very cool way to set up a franchise, really. And also as well, the film has lots of great action scenes, which are definitely very fun to watch. One which is definitely very fun is definitely the escape from the Dursley's house, which is definitely nice to see. And also as well, flying in with Fort Angly to Hogwarts is also great and memorable too, as well. And also as well, crashing into a Whomping Willow tree as well at Hogwarts is also another memorable moment as well. And also the lessons are also great. For example, the scene with Pixies is definitely pretty fun to see. And also as well, the dueling class, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like, you know, Mortal Kombat Harry Potter edition, except with no fatalities. And also as well, there's also as well another great scene with Quidditch as well in the movie, which is definitely nice to see because I love the Quidditch scenes in this franchise especially. And now, when it comes to sequels in general, guys, many of them have been accused of rehashing their predecessors in many areas, but this one is an example, in my opinion, which does not, because despite the characters do looking identical to how they appeared in the first movie, you know, same costume, same hairstyle, etc., this time the plot is different, and in my opinion, a lot more dangerous, a lot more stakes, which are higher this time, which I definitely do love. For example, I've talked about how it gets darker due to the attacks of the school, and yeah, and in the Quidditch match this time, of course, Harry's broom is not Jinx. This time, the Bludger goes rogue and chases him thanks to Dobby casting it, and yeah. Speaking of Dobby, guys, I love the addition of Dobby the House Elf, voiced by Toby Jones. He's definitely a very likeable character, in my opinion, very entertaining to watch, and yeah. And he, of course, wants to protect Harry from going back to Hogwarts because he knows bad things are going to happen. And, of course, Dobby was unfortunately right, too, because bad things do happen there, yeah. And in addition as well, so he, of course, wants to start Harry from going, for example, by not giving him his letters from his friends to make Harry think he did want to go back, but Harry, of course, did want to go back. Then when he's going to Hogwarts on the train, Dobby freezes the magic wall so he can't go through to platform 9 3/4 to go into Hogwarts Express. And also as well, he makes the Bludger chase after Harry as well. But of course, unfortunately, the Bludger makes Harry's arm break, so yeah, poor Harry. But thankfully, he does catch the snitch. And what's also really cool is I love how Malfoy got to play a much more pivotal role, in which he's actually one of the seeker for the Slytherin Quidditch team, which is pretty cool. So that definitely gave him a slightly more, you know, sinister role, in my opinion, really. And yeah. And also as well, what's also great about this film is when it comes to plot twist, the film definitely does execute really well, in my opinion. I've talked about, you know, the plot twist of who is behind the attacks at Hogwarts, which of course is going to be Lucius because he slips the diary into Ginny Weasley's cauldron, and she of course would read it and be brainwashed, and she's the one who writes the messages in blood. And yeah, and the basilisk, of course, you know, goes around the Hogwarts pipes to petrify people, and yeah. And I gotta say that, you know, it's definitely, you know, very eerie how it happens, really. Especially the second message, of course, which says her skeleton will lie in the chamber forever. Like, that message just gives me chills because of how scary it is, in my opinion. It's just frightening, really. And yeah. Also, as well, I definitely love the flashback scene as well, where Harry goes back in time to 50 years into Hogwarts' past, where he sees Tom Riddle, of course, exposing Hagrid and getting him expelled, because he believes that Hagrid's pet spider, Aragog, is the one responsible for killing the pupil in the bathroom, which, of course, is revealed to be Moaning Myrtle, played by Shirley Henderson. I definitely liked her in the cast. She was really good, in my opinion, as Moaning Myrtle. And yeah. Probably my favourite role of Shirley Henderson. And also as well, when it comes to Hagrid in that flashback, I like how he was played by what we call Train's double called Martin Bayfield. But of course, his voice was dubbed by Robbie to make it consistent. And yeah, definitely a very, very clever way to portray Hagrid as young without, you know, making it look different. Because they do, of course, shadow his face in darkness. And of course, Martin is, of course, taller than Robbie. So yeah, so he doesn't really, you know, take away anything from entertainment, really, to be honest. And other great thing as well is the CGI is also very good for its time too. The effects are definitely top notch. Like, because I think this franchise is timeless, guys, in my opinion. Never going to get old at all. And this film is definitely no exception because of how very good it is. Courtesy of many great companies like, for example, Industrial Light and Magic, and also as well many others too alongside that. For example, Mill Film, the Moving Picture Company, Cinesight and Framestore CFC. And yeah, lots of visual effects in this. And I got to say, the CGI for Dobby, in my opinion, was definitely very on point, in my opinion. And also, as well, the effects for Fawkes and Phoenix were also very good, too. I really like Fawkes in this film, guys. Very great character, in my opinion. Very underrated, in my opinion, as well. And the effects for Aragog the Spider, when he's a giant, were also really good, too, as well. And I definitely, as well, love the voice by Julian Glover for him, as well. Definitely a really great job voice work for him, in my opinion. Probably my favourite voice for Julian Glover, as well. And when it comes to the villains with the film, guys, I've already said that I love Christian Coulson as Tom Riddle, and I did also as well love the Basilisk itself. Probably a very terrifying, scary villain, how it can petrify people, and if you stare into its eyes, it kills you. But yeah, it's just a very scary villain, really. And the design of it is definitely really good for 2002 standards, in my opinion. Yeah, it's aged really well. The same could also be said for Dobby as well, in terms of his design as well. And also as well, the final fight of the film is also very good, guys. I like how it's different to the first movie, so thankfully not a rehash. And of course, Fawkes also helps Harry by blinding a basilisk for him so he can fight it without getting petrified. And yeah, and also as well, of course, the sword of Godric Griffin also appears too, and Harry uses it to stab a basilisk, but sadly he does get stabbed by its fangs, which poisons him, and he's unfortunately dying, but he encourages Ginny to escape when she wakes up from the curse she's been put on by Tom Riddle, but however, Fawkes comes back and he heals Harry, of course, by crying tears onto him, which of course has healing powers, and yeah. So, and the film does also have a very heartwarming ending too, guys, as well. For example, of course, Harry's able to free Dobby by tricking him, by tricking Malfoy at first by putting a sock from his own on Sock's pet into the diary which belongs to Lucius Malfoy, so Dobby is free. And Lucius does go mad, and he tries to actually cast Avada Kedavra on Harry, the killing curse, guys, from Goblet of Fire. Now, the reason why he nearly said Avada Kedavra is because Jason Isaacs was not really familiar with the spells, and he got to the 4th book, and that was all the spell he remembered, so he casted that because he forgot what spell to use. But yeah, it makes sense why he'd say that, because the character is of course a villain. He's like a Death Eater, so that will make sense. And then after Dobby is freed, Harry makes him promise not to save his life again. And then after that, we get a nice scene in the Great Hall where those who have been petrified are now cured. And Hermione comes back and then she hugs Harry and shakes Ron's hand. Then Dumbledore gives a very nice speech where he gives a round of applause to the staff who've treated those who've been petrified, of course, which is Professor Sprout, played by Miriam Margolyes, and also as well, of course, the Hogwarts nurse, which is Madame Pomfrey, played by Gemma Jones. And then, of course, after that, he says all exams are being cancelled. And everyone's happy about that, except for Hermione, because she wants to do the exams. So yeah, poor Hermione. Although personally, guys, I'll be happy if my exams got cancelled. Then, of course, Hagrid comes back because he unfortunately got arrested because he was framed for being, the attacker. He's been freed from Azkaban, and after that, he then comes in, and now this ending definitely does hit a lot differently nowadays after Robbie Coltrane's death, guys. For me, it really does, because he thanks Harry, and then Harry gets out of his seat and then says to him, "There's no Hogwarts without you, Hagrid," and those words could not be any more true. Absolutely not any more true, in my opinion, yeah. There is no Hogwarts without Hagrid. And then Harry and Hagrid hug, and then Dumbledore leads a round of applause. Everyone claps, apart from Draco Malfoy and his two friends, Crabbe and Goyle. And that's a very phenomenal ending right there, in my opinion. Really is. Definitely hits a lot differently nowadays after Robbie Coltrane's very sad death earlier in October. Yeah, may rest in peace. And yeah, so... And when it comes to Crabbe and Goyle, guys, I like how we got the introduction of Polyjuice Potion in this film, where it allows people to disguise themselves as others by using their hair and a special potion as well, which is pretty cool. That was definitely a very cool feature in the movie. It really fascinated me when I was younger how they did that. It was very impressive how they did the Polyjuice Potion when I first watched it when I was younger. Now, obviously, I do prefer the first movie over this, only for a couple of reasons. So, for example, one thing that does confuse me about the Basilisk, guys, is how is it able to use the pipes in the castle to move around, given that it's massive? Because pipes are not really that big, are they, guys? And then this could also be a fault to a book, too, so it's not really the film's fault, it could be the book's fault, too. It also doesn't explain why Nearly Headless Nick appears to have been petrified as well, because he appears to have been petrified because it cuts out the part where he's celebrating the day of his death, because he's of course, pretending he's dead on his death day by celebrating it, basically. So yeah, and it looks like he's been petrified, but it doesn't really make much sense, really. In addition as well, guys, now, one thing that is also notable about this film is the music. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, I love John Williams' music. He's my favourite composer of all time, and I noticed in particular that in this movie, a lot of the music appeared to have been taken right from the first movie, exactly the same composition, and wasn't very much new music, really, to be honest, and I do believe that the new music was adapted and conducted by another composer called William Ross. Now, there is an understandable reason why, of course, John Williams couldn't really compose new music and most music was taken from the first movie. It's because he had a very busy schedule in 2002 composing other movies because, for example, he was composing Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, and also as well, the Spielberg films Minority Report and Catch Me If You Can, so that makes perfect sense in my opinion because he was very busy in that year. And speaking of Star Wars, guys, there is also that case where for some reason you actually can hear the music from the Coruscant speeder chase in the Quidditch match for some reason, so yeah, that's pretty confusing really, how you have Star Wars music in that scene. Definitely very weird in my opinion, quite out of place too, to be honest, but yeah, they could have probably just added in, music from the first movie instead, really, to be honest. Would have made a lot more sense because it was a Quidditch match once again. Thankfully, in the next movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, he introduced lots of brand new music, well, thankfully, which was good, so yeah. Anyway, guys, so that's me talking about Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. Definitely, in my opinion, a great sequel, in my opinion. One I definitely really appreciate a lot, so if I was to give it a score out of 10, I would definitely give it a very solid score of a very brilliant, in my opinion, 8 out of 10. Yeah, great sequel, in my opinion, so yeah. And of course, as well, next week, guys, I'll be talking about, of course, the next one, which, of course, is Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm definitely looking forward to talking about. Can't wait to do that, so yeah. So, guys, this is me reviewing, of course, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets from 2002 with X-Blaze. Thanks for taking part once again, Blaze. Nice one. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, enjoy the comments what you guys think of Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. If you've seen some of your thoughts, comments below to your thoughts are on it. Also, be sure to join the team by pressing subscribe movie screen in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press on your piece of art or your subscription. And mischief managed.